Welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to be talking about loops. As you can see, we have a list over here, a list of 4 countries. But we need a way to access each and every value or item in the list. We can't keep writing it this way: countries 0, countries 1, countries 3. This is a wrong syntax, but yes, countries 3, 4 up to countries n. It is going to be tedious because we can have 1,000 entries, we can have 1,000,000 entries if you are making an HTTP request to a database or something like that. So we can't keep doing this all the time. That is why loops in programming were introduced. So we have access to the items in the list easily. And we have, let me just remove this one. In the robot framework, we have what we call for loop. So start typing the for, and it gives you for in range, for in. So let's see what the for in range does. So enter. So after hitting the enter, it gives you a boilerplate, so to speak. So it says for counter in range, start, end, and then this optional steps. So this is the syntax. So for counter in range, start, end, and the steps, log counter, end. So this is just trying to say that it expects an argument, a start argument, where it should start from, and an end where the loop should end at. And then the steps is, by default, the steps is 1. So if you have the starting point at 0 and the end point at 10, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9. Usually it doesn't include the last number. So if you want 10, then it should be 0 to 11, or let's say 1 to 11. So you have 1 to 10, assuming the steps is 1. If the steps is 2, then it's going to be, let's say, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, assuming the end is 11. So this for in range always expects at least 2 arguments. The last one is optional. So it always expects at least 2 arguments, the start and the finish, or the end. And then in between the for and the end, you can do whatever you like over there. But for now, let's log the counter. The counter is the value of the loop at that time. So let's see what I mean by that. So let's start from 0, and we have the end to be, let's say, 10. And we can remove this for now. And let's run the file again. Let's see. So it has run. Yes, so these ones are still valid. The ones we had coded are still valid. And let's go to the for keyword. So it says counter 0, 1, 2. So this is the first iteration, the first time the loop ran, second time, third time, fourth time, because that one also starts from 0 and then ends at 9. So let's see what the first run did. So we are logging the 0. So this is what we logged. That's the value. So log. So let me quickly add a text and rerun it again. So we see what is it. Yes. So it says this is 0. This is 1. So the counter is just the value at that particular time. So we can use the steps as well. So let's see. Let's run that and see what happens. Yeah, so it starts from 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 because it is up till 10. if you want 10, then you should make it 11. So let's try that and see. 11, and rerun. Let's go back. Yes, so now that the end is 11, it includes the 10 as well. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And we are just logging the numbers on the screen. So this is 10. So let's take it to, or let's use the for loop with our example. So for counter in range, blah, blah, blah. But before we do that, let me introduce you to the other one. So let's keep this over there. And then we have another one for in. Yes. So it says for element in this list, log that element. So in our case, we are saying usually you need to give it a descriptive name. So this is just a variable. So you need to give it a descriptive name. So for element, let's change it to for country in countries. So it says for country in countries. As this is a loop, the first time it will be Japan, second time it will be Germany, and so on. So for country in countries, this can literally be any variable, so long as it's not an inbuilt variable for the robot framework. So it can be any name. You can put your first name or John Doe or whatever. It can be any name at all. But usually it should be descriptive so that even you yourself, you know this variable is for this, etc. So for country in countries, log, now we have deleted the element, so it should be country. So let's log the country and let's see what it says. So the first one, this was the for counter in range, and then this is for the country. So the first time it is Japan, second time Germany, third time Ghana, fourth time Finland. So as you can see, we are logging the Japan. Let me add a text. I grew up in, and let's rerun it and see what it says. So the first time I grew up in country, blah, blah, blah. So let's see. I grew up in Japan. I grew up in Ghana. I grew up in Finland. So that is how we can have access to the items in a list by using the for loop. So it depends on your use case. You can use the for in range or for in. So you can use any of them, anyone that suits your needs. So let's see. But if you are using, let me remove this one. If you are using this, we are still hard coding the start and the finish. But because lists or arrays are 0 indexed, surely it will start from 0. So we can hard code this 0. But suppose, let me change this to country. So for country in, no, we can't use, it has to be a different variable. So suppose we have for I in range of 0 to 11. Let me remove the steps. Usually in programming, we use I don't know why, but by default, 99.9% of programmers, when giving a variable to an index, we use I. And if there's another loop, we have nested loops. If there was another loop within here, probably use J or something like that. So we usually use I to denote the index. So the this variable can be x, it can be y, but in program we usually use I. So I'll just stick to the I. So for I in range 0, because arrays or lists are 0 indexed to the last item to the end. We don't know what the end is because this is hard coded. So if this is hard coded, there might be a problem. It might be out of range. So let's see what it does. So log this is, so let's say instead of the counter, let's put countries because we want to display the content of the countries. So this is countries, but we need to tell it to grab the value or the item at that position. So at position 0, so for the first time I will be 0, second time I will be 1, but it's going to be doing that behind the scenes. That's why we see, let me refresh. Let's see for which one. Yeah, I think this one. That's why we see these numbers. Yeah, so to be doing it behind the scenes for us. But for the first time, I is 0. The next one, I will be 2 and blah, blah, blah. So this is countries. So we are telling it to grab the elements or the item at position this. And this is how we specify it once again. And we can't just write I. Let's see what happens. It says what? List countries used with invalid index I. To use I as literal value, it needs to be escaped like this. Okay. Because it's a variable, all we need to do is reference the variable itself. So this is the name of the variable, the $, curly brackets, and the I. So we need to reference it exactly the way it should be referenced. So I. Now let's run it and see the other error that will appear. Yes. So it says list countries has no item in index 4 because we hard coded the 11 and there are only 4 items, meaning the last position is 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. But we have hard coded the 11. So when it reached the 4th position, it's trying to locate. Yeah, we have it here. It's trying to locate a value at position 4, but that place is empty. 0, 1, 2, 3. There is nothing at position 4, and that is why this error is coming. List countries has no item in index 4. So which means the number we supplied is out of bounds. So we need to make it set that it doesn't go over the number of items in the list. So what do we do? Now let me remove this from the PowerPoint presentation. I said the length is the number of items in the list. That is 4. So in this case, we have 4 items in the list, 0, 1, 2, 3, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items in the list. And the first item, Japan, always has the index of 0. And then the last item, Finland, has the index of 3. So how do we get this 3? So assuming we had another one, let's say Mexico. I think it should be tab. Yes. Mexico. Mexico is now the last item. So now Mexico will be what? 4. So if we keep hard coding it, meaning anytime the list changes, whether it reduces or increases, we have to manually come and increase the list or decrease it. But that is not really efficient or effective. So there's a way to do it. We can count the number of items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. but the program is not going to do that for us. There is a keyword known as get length. So this gets the length of this country's list. So get length. So let's see. So get length of the countries, but it returns a value. So we need to store that value in a different variable as well. So let's say length. So that will be the length of the array or the list. And then let's log it to the screen. Let's see what we have. $sign, yes. So length. So let's run it again and see. We are still going to have the same error because we have not changed anything yet. Yeah, it has run. Yes. So now this is still because we don't have. Now it has changed because we added Mexico. So now there's something at position 4, but there's nothing at position 5, and the test case stops. It fails. So let's see what we have at. So from here we have the length is 5. This is the length we got. This built-in get length keyword gets the, let's say, returns and logs the length of the given item as an integer. So the length it returned is 5. So let's go back to PyCharm. So now we have the length to be 5, meaning instead of the 11, we can now put the length over there. But let's see. So 0 to the length of 5. So let's see if it passes or not. Yes, so it passed. So because it is 0 index, it starts from 0 and ends at 4. It doesn't count the last item. So 0 to 5, but it actually ends at 4 behind the scenes. So we have, it starts from 0, then 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because it's 0 indexed. So this is how we can access the values from each, from any list or array. So we are now going to use this concept of lists and loops to be able to select these buttons we have on the page so as to delete them by running the file or creating a test case for it. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.